going on, guys? How are
Okie
we?
dokie. Oh, what a day it is. What a day it is.
What a day. By the beach, nice waves, a little windy here.
Weather was pretty good today. I actually went for like a 10K walk. Oh,
Oh,
wait, I didn't say that, by the way. I did 10Ks in an hour. I walk really quick.
It's gonna be extended soon, actually, the amount of
10K
time
as
we can
in
exercise.
10 kilometers?
Yeah, I ran. Let's
I,
just say that.
I don't think that's
Hmm.
possible.
Walking. I'm a fast walker.
Nick walking
Yeah.
10K.
Do you walk? There
I
might be
don't.
some time travel in there, yeah?
Where are you going to a sloppy
uh,
joe's nearby?
don't worry.
How's the sloppy joes?
I
Alright.
had some. What's the word I'm looking for? I had some. You know, supplements to really help me out. Today.
Ooh.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Ooh. Um,
All right, listeners of the podcast on YouTube, wherever you can write comments, can you please leave some really abusive messages about how much you hate our stupid puns that transitioned into the topic of the show?
Oh
Because I
shit.
think we need it.
Yeah, I know. We do. We
oh,
do.
I definitely will need it today. I definitely will need it today for what I'm going to do later. I'll need some
What are you
supplements.
gonna do later?
What are you gonna do
Prantik, I
later?
heard you have quit the gym.
I have not called it quits full time, but I'm now a part time. I'm a different gym goer now, so I'm going to a bolder gym. Like you remember those days when you had to have those small Pokemon Game Boys, and then you had different types of gym depending on the type of Pokemons you had. You had a
Okay.
water gym, then you had a rock gym. So I have shifted to a rock gym now. So I'm going
Hmm.
bouldering. I started up
So
bouldering.
for the non-Pokemon listening audience, what does that entail, this new gym adventure of yours?
Bouldering is nothing but I think most of the people know about it. So bouldering is just competitive wall climbing indoors. So you're not going
Oh,
anything
okay.
natural. So I think it's a lot to do with balance, coordination, and a lot more body response, foot and hand coordination, and a lot more pivoting stuff and a lot more upper body strength. So I'm looking forward to making these hands.
Why the change? Why the change?
Hmm.
Oh, that's a nice question. I thought that you see, after this is a very serious one, so nobody laugh. But anyway, couple of weeks before, since Chadwick um, passed
Hmm.
away, I realized that I came to a realization that life is too short not to try everything. So hence, um, I want to try a new sport, and at this age of 27, I don't regret it at all. And if I wouldn't have tried it, I would have said that okay, no, I just spent my whole life in the gym doing one sport. So I want to go ahead and try out a new sport and see how I fit into it. If I don't fit into it, doesn't matter. But at least I'm gonna try. So
Yeah, it's better than you being like 80 and getting the urge and you can't because of all your health ailments and stuff like that.
yeah.
Have you always had an interest
Too
in
many
this, or?
calcium deposits.
I was doing this actually. I did it once or twice. I did once or twice in Australia. So that's where I figured out how to do the different types of knots that necessary. But um, I actually want to do this now, more like a competitive kind of thing. Um,
Hmm.
I want to see if I can push myself to that level, because at that level I can do a lot more fitness related, because that's a different type of body form that I need to change into when I'm doing bouldering. A lot more denser muscle structure, um, a lot more agile movements and better balance. So that's what I'm
There
looking
wouldn't be
for.
weight classes, would there?
No, there is no weight classes.
Yeah.
It's just
So how
like
does it work?
it's just
There'll
like
be a
a
bunch of, I guess, obstacles. Is it for speed? Is it for distance? Like, how high you can get up? How does it work?
some of it works in, like, most of the indoor bouldering championship works on speed. So you're competing with someone else on the
Mhm.
same exact structural path. Structural path, by structural path I mean, like, those grips and holds are all fake, all
Hmm.
artificially manufactured and then put in. So you'll have to climb the same wall, same height, and the same grip sizes as your opponent is, and whoever tags the buzzer on top the fastest wins that round, and it's highly competitive. People do it in 3-4 seconds, speed climbing they call it. But that's nowhere a close dream right now, cause I don't want
Yeah.
to like I can't do that at this point. I'll probably gas out in the first one, so it's a thing that I have to slowly build up to and then get used to it.
So with your body, are you looking to change your body to fit the sport better, or are you just gonna
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just gonna take my current body and go with it?
No, I'm gonna start with how I look, and then I feel
Hmm.
like this is a physical demanding sport. So
Mm.
as you change, your body will change. There's a lot more movements depending on hip flexibility, shoulder flexibility, rotational shoulder, leg movements, and I mean it's a lot of push and pull movements. A lot of push and pull movements. So I'm gonna need some supplements as well.
That's funny. I think I did a bit of rock climbing. Is that pretty similar to
It
bouldering? Or is this
is.
not
It
the
is
same?
like
Yeah. Okay.
bouldering is just the speedy version of doing it on
Okay.
a fake wall. But rock climbing is more of a slower, time-taken approach that you do in the nature. But those are two different. Most of boulder people do climb rock because that's
Mm.
where the grip strength and everything comes from. But
Yeah.
yeah, it also
It's
like there
super
are
fun
different
though.
yeah, there's different forms of competition. Sometimes it's just obstacle after obstacle. By obstacle they mean like different angled walls, different
Mm.
small grips, and that's where they test your grip strength. You have to like score up points as you touch those, and touch every mold or every grip with both your hands. That's a score. That means you have
Yeah.
established both hands in balance. So it's a lot
Okay.
of stuff. I need to still learn stuff, but I'm really keen. It's a new sport, and I'm like, okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Wish you all the luck in the world. Not that you need it, but it sounds awesome.
I'm gonna
Very
go
good.
that way.
Shall we get to the topic of the day, guys?
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about supplements today. So, our
Supplements.
first question off the rank is how do we decide which ones are worth taking? Who'd like to start?
Ooh, that's a very good question.
Awesome question.
Well, I think we should first start off with we obviously can all agree that the supplement industry is quite massive.
Mm-hmm.
It's very saturated. I mean, like every single gym goer wants to be the next, I don't know, EHB Lab sponsored athlete or something like that. So
Forge
you got
sponsored athlete.
Forge sponsored athlete. I know. So you got people
Yeah.
wanting to pursue careers. Obviously down that path. Not to take anything away from it. Obviously, it's a way to expose us, I guess, yourself out there into the fitness community, and people that keep on top of these things. Obviously, yeah, like it's just in my eyes, big industry. But in saying that, there's obviously some good and there's obviously some bad. So we're going to start off with like Conor said, when we're looking at such a massive industry, okay, and we're going to narrow down, what supplements to take. Where do we go from there?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys think, before we really get into it, what do you guys think is the first thing you got to look for when like going down the route of taking a supplement? Why would you need to take a supplement in the first place? Before we really answer that next question, I think we should just first start off with this. Personally,
What was the question?
Why do we need
swear to God,
supplements?
I swear you do this every week. Like listeners out there, Conor, he's like so focused, and then next minute he's just like, "What was your question again?" I swear to God, you would have been the worst student in school. I couldn't stand being your teacher. Anyway, like why would somebody go down the route of a supplement? Like why would they
Why would
choose
you
to have a
need
supplement?
subs?
Because they perceive there'll be benefits there. I think that's the main reason people do it, And then at the end of the day, they think there's a return on investment or something that they'll get out of supplements that they otherwise wouldn't.
Okay, cool. All right, so go for it. I like to hear what you guys' thoughts are on like which ones are worth taking first. Obviously, there's specific benefits out of it. Which ones have you guys taken just because it's an absolute necessity?
Hey, I have very big like I have a very big supporting cause of why I take supplements and why it's safe to take supplements. In fact, a lot of part in the world still think that supplements is like, ooh, is it good for you? Is it because of what? Well, it's just depends on what you take. You don't take just like. Um, you don't buy supplements from a shady person or someone who's going to give you some whey protein mixed with a lot of flour and stuff. Seriously, I've been there. I've been, I've been sold a box of supplements where there was whey protein and mixed with flour, and it just lumped up in the when I mixed it, it lumped up, and I didn't know anything about it then. And then as I slowly approached into the supplement world, then I knew that okay, what a fool he made of me. But I think that's how we learn. But my main reason to take supplements is to uh, actually the word is there itself, to supplement the body with excess amount with the missing proteins that we don't get from the daily food, because the thing is with advance in agricultural and a lot of rise in population. This is basic science. With a lot of rise in population and the shrinkage of space and production longevity. By production longevity, I mean you need to produce more in a shorter period of time. The quality of food and wholesome food is going down, while the price of organic stuff is going up, because organic stuff is the one that is grown with its own period of time of growth. For example, a carrot might take probably a month to grow into its full size normally. That is organic growth. But if you hybridize the carrot, it grows within maybe two weeks. So that's the difference in the quality, because when you hybridize the carrot, it might not have the same amount of nutrition that the organic carrot might have, but the carrot might be twice the size of the organic carrot. So not everybody can afford organic food, and especially when you're doing bodybuilding, it is recommended to do organic food, and it's always saying eat the organic chicken, eat organic food. But how many people in this world does that? So I think there's a necessity that a void is being created by the quality of food that we are having, be it the macros, the micro nutrients that are being left out. That void is being kind of filled in by supplements.
So would you say like a really good quality multivitamin is obviously a necessity for people considering the drop in nutritional value? Is that what you're getting out there?
I mean, with the current situation in hand, I think everybody should be on a good quality multivitamins. They should read the nutrition facts on the back, take a look at what they're getting with the multivitamin, and take a look at what the body's minimum dosage or daily minimum value recommended is. And then they should take the multivitamin accordingly, because some multivitamins are not meant for everyone. Then they end up with too much of something, and then they might have side effects like rashes, all this sort of stuff. Stomach upset is the biggest thing that comes up the first, because whenever something that cannot be digested, that's the first symptom. So definitely going on the path that Nick, you're saying that today I have prescribed my own mom and dad, like, you guys should take a multivitamin every day, just to be safe and keep your immune system supportive. So that's the answer right there. It's actually going to support your immune system on the long run, and it's actually making your backbone of your immune system stronger, so that you can fight diseases, kind of stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Connor, thoughts?
Yeah. So with deciding on which ones to take, I think what we've got to do is first establish a goal. We might be trying to go towards a certain direction. Then you ask yourselves, okay, if there is a goal, it might be performance, it might be just better health. Okay, what are all the things we need to do to get there? And we consider our training, we consider our diet, we consider our sleep. And you might just find out, okay, there might be a few little things missing. And that, where supplements might tie in to supplement what is missing from the protocol that's going to get you from A to B, right? So with deciding which ones to take, we also need to consider, okay, if we need certain things potentially to make things a little better, a lot of bit better, depends on your journey to A to B. We need to consider how much are you willing to spend on things. So that should be part of your thought-making process. We could almost justify a million different things that we could and should take. And if you're talking about the organic food before, and it gets quite pricey after a while. So it's like, okay, how much is it worth to me relative to the dollars in the bank and how much stress that will cause and blah, blah, blah. I think with deciding which ones to take, again, you look at the training goal, and there might be times of year where certain supplements support certain training, certain sleep, things like that more than others. And then, yeah, you might have your general base at the start, like you're saying with your general health supplements, and you can just go from there.
Very nice.
No, I pretty much agree with both of you. I mean, that's exactly how I take my approach individually. I mean, I look at kind of, what my goals are, at that period of time. A lot of them are performance-based, so I'll stick to performance-based supplements. And to be honest, I don't venture out too far. Yeah, I stick to like a good quality, multivitamin, just for, like just ticking a small little box. It's not like, a lot of it is guesswork with this kind of stuff, because I'm not necessarily one to take a lot of blood work every single, month, week, whatever the recommendation is. And so I kind of just go by, feel. And like I said, it's a lot of guesswork, a lot of, questions I just kind of ask myself. And when I take things, if I'm feeling good, then I'm feeling good. Whether it's a result of the actual multivitamin itself, I can't really narrow things down because there's so many other variables that play into consideration. So like Conor was saying, if money is no issue and you can afford something little that can add, slight benefits, then sure, why not take it? Other things, I mean, some people I classify it as a supplement, but, straight up, like I said, performance goals is a big one for me. I love caffeine. I think I'm a massive coffee drinker. So yeah, obviously you can find caffeine in other forms, especially in like pre-workouts and stuff like that. So you kind of see that as to be a heavy one sold on the market. But for me personally, just straight caffeine coming from, the source of coffee. I find that to be a massive benefit for me in terms of training. So I definitely put, obviously mood and training motivation, all that kind of thing. They play a massive role in performance. So you want to feel good. I like nothing worse than rocking up to a training session feeling like shit. So I'm all about, making sure I'm set, ready to go, have a good mood, ready for the training session. So caffeine definitely helps me in that regard. I do take, it's, those supplements that you say you take, but then you're like not necessarily like as consistent as you want to be with it. You're like, shit, I forgot to take it. Creatine is probably that one for me. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, fuck, I forgot to take it, kind of thing. And it's like, no, I'm not having it just straight in water. Like that shit's just disgusting. Tastes like chalk. But that is definitely on my regime. I just like it for, of course, the normal benefits that you get out of it, strength, power, those kind of things. Lately, I've been hearing a lot of facts and research on how it can contribute towards, brain health. So, giving more energy to your brain, which is a really positive thing. So as, we get older, we want our brain to be as healthy as possible. So taking creatine just to support brain function is a really big one. And one of the other reasons why I start taking it now too. So to be honest, I don't really venture too much out of the other things unless there's specific underlying, issues, or shall I say, things that I'm trying to really tackle and focus on, and therefore I'll go out and purchase that supplement.
That was like a great explanation. Also sounds like we should log in and log out. Log out and log in. Since we were talking about supplements and its use and why we take them, let's take a dive into what we actually take. So let's start with Nick. Nick, what's your daily go-to supplements are? And give us a list of what you have tried and tested.
It's funny because I literally just answered this. So
no,
just
what
to
are
give
you
you a
doing
quick
now?
rundown.
Now, what are you running now?
What am I running now? I'm currently taking a multivitamin. I currently take, I'm trying to think what else I take. I like caffeine, like any kind of caffeine source. And to be honest, I'm not really on a whole lot of other supplements just because I'm taking a whole lot of other medications. at the moment. So other than just a simple multivitamin right now, I'm not on a whole bunch of other stuff just because of medications, and I don't know the mix at the moment. So if you're looking at what I'm taking currently, it's just a multivitamin.
Okay. Okay. Connor.
Yeah, so it's definitely varied in the past in terms of how much I've taken compared now. But truthfully, honest, what I'm having right now, whey protein is up there. And one of the main
Oh,
reasons is as a kid, I loved chocolate milkshakes. So
Mm.
I think it's one way I can kind of, yeah, it's not as good as a chocolate milkshake per se, but it's a way of still integrating that fun from your childhood, into your daily diet and whatever. At the moment in Australia, it is cold in Melbourne, so you can only get so much sunlight a day, as well as a bit with it being cold, you'll get less quality vitamin D. So I'm supplementing with a bit of vitamin D.
Mm.
And I'll kind of play around with different things. So I might go around with certain nootropics if I want to be on my mind better from researching, or I'm training with certain people. I might have certain things I take to calm me down at night. It really depends. But like if I'm, winding down just fine, I won't go ahead and use that wind down supplement essentially because, well, there's no need for that supplement. It's being matched to my lifestyle. So it's usually just filling in the gaps of what I need, like on a
Mm-hmm.
somewhat day by day basis. Now, if I was looking for the cumulative benefits of increasing my blood work of certain levels, yeah, you need to be consistent month after month. But I think I'm usually playing around with things that are more immediate in terms of picking me up, winding me down, and stuff like that.
Sounds
How
like
about
sounds
yourself, Francis?
sounds like some. Oh no. Uh, you guys
Big
know
list?
I've been random pill guzzler. Uh, the random pill guzzler. No. In all seriousness, I generally try to, because with COVID around the COVID season going on right now. What I try to generally do is boost all the things that are very necessary. So I'm on magnesium, vitamin D,
Mm,
vitamin C, a multivitamin that majorly consists of all of the trace minerals, omega 3, and
mm.
all sorts of stuff like that. And then turmeric powder, which is really good for my bones and joints and any swellings that I have. Um,
Information.
I have a box of creatine, but I'm currently not taking them. I do depend on uh, um, what's that? The night protein, the one that you take at night. Um, uh, I forgot the name. Casein. Sorry. Yeah, here we go. Casein. I got cinnamon bun flavored casein. So I use that as a whole meal at the end of the day on days I think that I'm really slacking on food, or I really don't want have that urge of eating, chewing a solid food. I generally put a scoop of casein with a couple bananas in there and just spin it
Mm.
up. That's a whole meal on itself, and that
That's just
immediately,
nice.
yeah, that immediately clogs your stomach, and that keeps you fed throughout the night. Um,
Mm.
and also, obviously, whey protein isolate all the way. Go away. Uh,
you both have mentioned weight, and I'm like thinking, I'm like, as you both have said, I'm like, fuck, like, yeah, no shit, I take it. I didn't even think, like, yeah, it's a supplement, but I'm like, I just thought of it as like another food. So like, it just didn't come to my mind when you guys were talking about it. I was like, oh yeah, like,
it's
fuck,
like dry
it's
Milo.
like, it's like, well, yeah, like I'm just thinking it like as like another source of protein, like oh, like chicken, eggs, whatever. Like, fuck, retarded right here.
So let's go into I would say whey protein. That is a term that has been almost used by everyone now. Like, oh, I'm on whey protein. What is it actually, and how does it actually help? Connor, how have you seen whey protein help you, and what are the different forms of ways that you have used?
Whey protein, I literally just look at it, yeah, again, mainly as a food source, just a means of getting protein. There's a few reasons why you might think it might digest quicker. It's been tested pretty well on its,
Mm.
forgotten the word, nitrogen retention. Something in terms of how, like the quality of the protein itself is actually pretty high up there. It's one of those things where, just like many supplements, you really got to check your sourcing and stuff like that. The supplement industry has seen things such as amino spiking. You might remember hearing about
Mm-hmm.
that. So basically, they can shoot up certain amino acids to make it look like there's more protein, but really not getting that. But it cuts, dollars, so they might pump produce it and make more dollars. But again, it usually hurts them. So usually have whey isolate.
Mm-hmm.
You've got hydrolyzed protein if you're trying to that's something that would digest even quicker. You've got whey concentrates, and then other proteins in the market. You see like caseins, like you're saying. There's been beef proteins, which can be good or bad, depending on the companies and stuff like that. You've got collagen.
Egg
There's a bunch of
protein.
different. Yeah, I've even heard of freaking cricket protein on the way up, guys. So, but the most common one, like let's
We got
say,
to get to vegan protein as well.
Yeah, there's vegan
yeah, I forget
protein
about
as
them
well.
sometimes. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, if you're like, a person just, I think sometimes when I think of supplements, I almost flash back to being a younger kid and placing too much emphasis on them. And,
Hmm.
they go into the supplement store and I think that's going to be the game changer. And, let me just quickly say, if you haven't sorted out all your ducks in a row with, the main variables like training, nutrition, sleeping, and stuff like that, you go into the supplement store and getting whey concentrate versus isolate, it doesn't matter. It really
Yep,
doesn't.
exactly.
It's not a big deal. You might have, some people you might have to look out for, if you struggle with lactose, you probably struggle with all of them to a degree, but some more than others in terms of, concentrate versus
Hmm.
isolate versus something completely different like a vegan protein. I know some of the pea and rice proteins can be iffy with people's digestion and stuff like that. So yeah, coming back to the original question, I think you asked me to explain whey protein. I covered that in a bit more, but I think for the most part, whey protein of most sources, as long as the sourcing is good,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to go too wrong. Yeah, you might digest a little quicker and slower, not breaking the bank for most people.
Cool. Nick?
Main, like, so what was, sorry, what was the main question again?
What type of whey? Like, there are obviously the different classifications of whey that Connor has just mentioned. So, what type of whey have you tried and what has worked for you?
Uh, I've tried literally all of them. I think like what Conor was saying earlier on, and like in your training career, I think I used to just research, what is the best fast acting, protein. So obviously, I was just trying hydrolyzed whey, but again, like it didn't taste as good.
Mm-hmm.
But
Can be
then
expensive as
like
well.
and it's ridiculously expensive. But like I thought, oh, why not? Like this is what probably all the best people in the world are taking. Um, and so yeah, definitely tried that one. I've tried vegan proteins. They like not to shame them, but it just tastes like dirt. Like it's too earthy. And I mean, like there's probably one brand out there that's probably done all right, but like it's still, I don't know, like you compare that and and you go back to just a normal whey shake, like it's completely different. I've tried hydrolyzed collagen peptides.
That's good.
There, that wasn't too bad. I had issues with the mixability, but then like that was easily fixed. But like again, like the flavor probably not as like as great, but it's fine. Like it's still good. Still can be on the pricey side. So if it's one of those things where you're taking it, for the to get extra protein in you, it's pricey. But if you're taking it for the sake of what collagen, hydrolyzed collagen peptides do, which research has shown just to help improve hair, skin, nails, etc. Like the minimum amounts, like it's really, I think what they say is like if you have like between 16 and 20 grams of protein per day on that amount, like it's more than enough to
Mm-hmm.
support those functions, and therefore from a price standpoint it's actually not too bad. But if you're trying to take that kind of stuff to hit your protein count, you're gonna go through that like no other. But to be honest, like I just prefer a whey blend. So
Mm-hmm.
a blend of isolate, concentrate, and hydrolyze. Like they're more efficient on the money side of things, and I don't get any digestive upset from them. So me personally, I prefer taking just a whey blend, and of course casein, because that shit, like you said, tastes
It's
real good.
good. Yeah.
Um,
It
That's real
is
good,
good.
yeah.
It's a game changer.
yeah, and to be honest, and like it comes in handy. Like again, like take a day, you have a busy schedule ahead, and say you haven't planned your meals or anything like that. Like it's just like how people take casein shakes at nighttime. You take it because you're trying to support your system throughout the night. It's the same thing, throughout the day. Like if you don't have a really well structured day ahead, you haven't planned any meals, you haven't got actually any food at your disposal, sometimes just taking a casein shake, double scoop it or whatever, and kind of just keep the ball rolling throughout the day before you do hit a main meal. You know, it has a bit of a, I find like keeps you full for a long period of time. You're not like getting any bad cravings or anything like that. So I like it for
And do you
that
agree to
purpose. It
the
does come in handy.
and do you agree to the point that Connor just put in, that if you're just ending up in a supplement store without getting your food sorted, without getting your nutrition sorted, it's just a waste of time?
No, I don't agree. I think that's total bullshit. No, I'm kidding. No, like, he's definitely right. Like, fuck, man. No, I love supplements. Supplements are the best. No, like, no, you're right. Like, basically, think of it. You know, you have the pyramid and everything like that, and at the base of that pyramid, you got all nutrition. You know, you got your macronutrients, you got your micronutrients. Literally, as you get higher and higher and higher up that pyramid, you know, supplements sit right there. It's just, it means exactly what it said it means. Like, I know it's cliche, everyone says this, but it supplements, you know, your lifestyle of what you're doing and what you're missing out. That you're necessarily, not that you can't get through diet, because, you know, there are obviously, you know, ways that we can do things, but it's more, you know, what you're just not getting and what's probably at convenience to you as well. So that's sometimes why most people opt for supplemental choices, just because it's a convenient matter.
And Connor, you're 100% right, because I was the first-hand experience. I had the first-hand experience of how food matters and how it can change you. Food stand alone can like bring massive changes if you're having it in the right quantity and if you know what you're doing. Um, so this brings me to a question. It's a very interesting question. I think you all have heard it, and I want to hear what's your verdict on it. So, anabolic window. Let's go to that. A lot of people say that after you train, there's a 1 hour window, and that window is the anabolic window. That's where you get maximized growth. And if you take your supplements, or if you are supplementing yourself with whey or whatever you take right post workout, that's the most effective period. Is it true? And have you seen it, experienced it firsthand, and what was the experience like? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Nick.
like here's the thing. If you don't get that whey protein shake in that window, like, people stress out. You know,
Exactly.
people go off like, oh no, fuck, like, I'm not gonna get gains from this, like, bullshit. Like, you know, like, if you missed it, but then you had your next meal and you still created for your calories throughout the day, you're going to be okay. You know, some people just have these mental breakdowns and think that a complete diet is over, their bodybuilding contest is over. Like, sorry, prep is over. It's ridiculous. So, if you're talking about the science behind, you know, is there potential benefits? So from what I've read, like, there might be like the slightest, you know, benefits, or like, you know, of significant value, you know, towards you, like, in like maybe in terms of like recovering, you know, maybe that little bit better, you know, but it's nothing, I believe, you know, worth stressing over, because at the end of the day, that's probably going to tarnish your results more than anything. How, you know, how you respond to a particular situation, and, you know, how consistently, you know, you are doing that. So I think that's more of an issue than, you know, potentially stressing about. I mean, sorry, like, trying to just fit it in to that window. I mean, if it's easy for you to do so, okay, go ahead. Good little bonus there. If it's not, I totally okay. As long as, like I said, all the other things are taken care of. So again, before I was talking about that little pyramid of thing, right? I'll probably put meal timing probably just a bit below supplements, right? And supplements above that. So meal timing being a bit more significant than like supplements in general. So when I say meal timing, I'm talking about that, you know, timing of, oh, when do I take my protein shake, you know, things like that. I will say, like, if you're speaking just about that anabolic window, then, you know, that's that. But of course, timing of other nutrients, such as, your carbohydrate intake and things like that, post workout, before a long endurance run, during, extended activity, things that go 2 hours longer. Of course, things like that, there is a window for opportunity that you can definitely capitalize on, where those situations, take advantage of those things. But just for your simple everyday gym goer who's going to do a hard 45-60 minute training session, and you have your whey shake with you, and if you forget to take it, dude, you're totally okay. Like, just have it when you get home.
I think it depends on I like that, Nick, but I think it depends on the type of training you're doing and how much you are pushing your recovery thresholds. So basically, if you're doing something more akin to a maintenance phase, or something that's not really too taxing in your on your recovery reserves, then that small percentage might not make a huge difference at all. In fact, I'd go as far as saying it makes no difference, because if you are training once every 3 days, like a muscle group, and this little post-workout thing could help you a couple hours, but you're training once every 5 days, like you recovered after every 3, but you're training once every 5, it doesn't matter then, because whatever's lost in that 2 hours is going to be made up for with simply your strategy. As for how much benefits there are, I think it depends on, so your post-workout, again, depends on your pre-workout. So if you haven't eaten for multiple hours beforehand, and I know a lot of people train fasted in the morning, it's very common for a lot of people, then I'd probably push the case for post-workout, particularly protein being a bit more important. As someone that had more amino acids and all the rest before then, and we know, the protein synthesis response can go for 3 to 5 hours, plus a bit of, extra things from there I won't get into. What seems more interesting is, carbohydrate replenishment. So depending on your style of training, it can be very beneficial there. In fact, you've got GLUT4 receptors. You've got a few things there that aren't there pre-workout and other times more earlier on the day. Like, you're not relying on certain insulin factors as much. So particularly if, you're struggling on the resistance side of things, it can be very handy. I don't think it's, really a game changer, but I think as well, when looking at supplements and looking at meal timing, like I know Nick was mentioning the pyramid, it's handy as conceptual work to look at things in the pyramid and how much each has value. But if you look at things below the pyramid as well, your training, your nutrition, your sleep, sometimes it's interesting to see how other factors affect those. And sometimes supplements and meal timing are factors that can affect those. So, for example, if I'm going to use supplements, if I'm going to use magnesium, vitamin D, some vitamin B3, I've got very good research to know that my sleep will improve because of that. Now, so suddenly something as a supplement, which is more on the, arguably how they've conceptualized return on benefits, could be more because it releases a sleep factor, or more of that caffeine, how that affects training. So it's all intertwined. It's hard to compartmentalize too much. So I think when you're looking at your supplements and stuff like that, or even the post-workout, again, it really should tie to the overall goal. And most of your goal should be centered around the basics of, nutrition, training, sleep. And if that helps that more, then hell yeah. But the more advanced you are on the post-workout, anabolic window side of things, the better. But in reality, you're training hard mechanical tension, that post-workout window goes for days. But for really pushing recovery, a bit sooner.
Could we agree though that some people, take avenues, before they let's say address certain issues. So, let's say you're the perfect person, right? And, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, and you just respond positively in everything that you do. And, we're looking at that pyramid thing, and, sleep's good, everything's good, blah, blah, blah. But then next minute, they start concerning over things that they don't necessarily need to concern about because maybe everyone else is doing that, right? And then, I understand, for an individual that probably, what you're saying, there's individuals that are out there that need to look at those little micro things to help do the micro things in your body that will in turn, help things on a larger scale. I totally get that. But I think personally, some people jump to that when they may not even need to, oh, Conor O'Brien takes vitamin D3. well, to be honest, like, yeah, everyone in Melbourne probably should. Like you said, maybe that's a bad example, but, you know, Conor O'Brien takes this. You know, I should take this. You know, like maybe melatonin, for example, is a good example. Like some people do it, you know, around sleep because they want to improve their sleep, right? But, you know, what if you don't actually need to improve your sleep? What if your sleep's just good? You just think you need to, you know, take that. So I think the problem is like people start to think there's an issue when the most of the time might not necessarily be one. And just like to go down that.
Right? Scientifically speaking.
What do you mean? Like
issue, you're saying the creation of issue and then there might not be one. Like according to the biological need, there might not be a necessity. Like that's what you're placing it as. Like your body might not biologically need it. It's not that the body knows that window. It's not like that.
And that's why they do a lot of test trials on, you know, placebo versus, you know, whatever they're trialing, because they're just trying to see, you know, is it this actually working or is it just in your head kind of thing. So like, I think it's good to understand, you know, I think the main thing that we're trying to get across is it's individualized. Everything is individualized. And the answer to everything, you know, is it always depends. And so that's like you just got to address, you know, you just got to address things one at a time, you know, and, you know, it's obviously this. Sorry, I'm just losing my shit right now. Oh, no, it just sounds Prantik and I are hearing.
Exactly.
But yes, individualize everything. You know, everything's all individualized, and everything obviously, you know, depends at the end of the day. But I totally agree with everything that you're saying there.
I have a viewpoint on this. I feel like this is a very short one. I don't want to take much time. So what my viewpoint is, that when a protein or when your whey protein is first hitting your stomach walls, and it gets broken down by the stomach acid, it definitely needs some time to be absorbed by the body, absorbed, and remineralized. That's spread through the bloodstream and all. That's a few seconds, but that absorption will take some time. And I feel like that window is not, if you're looking at it from the body's perspective or the internal biological perspective, then I think that the moment you pour the whey protein in your body, and by the time it reaches your cells, that window is already gone. So there is no, I do not believe in such anabolic window, but you might see a fall in your testosterone levels soon after your training. So that's because you have used all the testosterone to drive or something. You had a very good workout, very heavy session. That's when you are driving all your testosterone into the workout. So you might see a little bit fall in the level. That's where your heartbeat is high. Your lungs are like at full capacity, pumping air into your body. And I think you also feel a little bit hungry sometimes, and sometimes you don't. Especially remember the workout that I had. Remember the leg workout we had where I force fed myself and then I threw up. So regurgitation is also something that happens. So when you try to feed yourself, like put yourself in the same process, and they say, okay, you had a very heavy leg workout, and all your muscles is under tension, and then you put the drink in, you'll definitely regurgitate, because your stomach, I feel like your stomach muscles aren't ready for that. So anabolic window or not, you should only be careful in utilizing that anabolic window only when you're ready to actually take some food in, because if you just like drink it and then you regurgitate it out, it's just a loss of vitamins, and also the whole acid that's just sitting in there is just coming out. You have disgusting taste in your mouth. We all been there sometime or the other. So that's
a potential mechanism for why so many people struggle with like protein digestive wise. I mean, you enter like a scenario where you are potentially, depending on the type of stimulus, in some of your most sympathetic state that you can be in. That's not a stage for rest and digest, essentially. And that's when you implement the protein. And you get a lot of issues there as a consequence often, because a lot of people do go for whey protein post workout. If you're about to implement some other protein source immediately post workout in the same way you would do with whey with high sympathetic states, you might find that some of those people would have issues with those food as well.
I think one of the supplements that's actually taken a massive hit in this industry is branched chain amino acids. So I like to talk about that a little bit. A lot of people are just saying, what's the point in taking that?
Exactly.
Just take a whey shake, or take EAAs and things like that. Like, I'd just like to get your guys' quick thoughts on just that whole concept of, obviously people take BCAAs for the recovery stage, during workouts, post workout, however you want to take it. What's your guys' thoughts behind that, in the sense that, like, does it work, and should people be buying it or wasting their money or spending their money on it?
So okay, I just googled up amino acid, and from my chemical perspective, because I know a little bit of chemistry, so this is from the organic side of stuff. This is a little bit of organic chemistry language. So it says amino acid is a simple organic compound containing both a carboxyl and an amino group. So a COOH and a NH2 bonded group. So now, as far as I know, this is going into the DNA chain of stuff. If you go deeper into the DNA chain, it's nothing but carbon-hydrogen bond in your DNA. So this COOH bond, it contains oxygen in it. As you can see, two valencies of oxygen, COOH. It also contains your carbon-hydrogen. So this is actually a replication of what your DNA strand looks like, actually, with the carbon and hydrogen. It might not look like that, but it also has that oxygen feature in it. That oxygen is the thing that's acting when it goes into your body. So these are that's why it says branch chain amino acids, because they have an open branch in it. So there's a dash in front of COOH. That's your link. So the COOH actually goes into your body and links with other carbon atoms and other hydrogen atoms, maybe H2O molecules and stuff. It links to it, and then that's the chemical side of stuff. It links to it and then fuses into a new compound that actually produces the metabolization of ATP. And ATP at the end is something that we are all targeting. The adenosine triphosphate. That's the powerhouse that drives that's the fuel that drives our body into functioning or metabolism. So I
was waiting for the textbook answer.
At the end of the day,
powerhouse of the cell.
no, that's a mitochondria. So
oh yeah, what the fuck.
Education.
Keep going.
But anyways, so that's where at the end of the day, that's where it affects. And I've heard this as well. A lot of friends of mine are like, why do you take BCAA? It's total hoax. It's total BS. Well, you see, it's also something that is mentally, and this was the chemical answer that I gave you, the chemical analysis of the answer. And the nitrate NH2, the NH2 bond that actually helps in fixation of nitrogen in human body. That gives you the vascularity. That's what people say, the vascularity in your bones. So how nitrogen works is, it's definitely a gas. So when nitrogen, the NH2 goes into your system, it passes through your blood vessels, clearing it out of more space in your actually more path as it courses through the veins. So that's why you get that pump formula. That's why it's known as pump formula. You won't see people who believe in the fact that, okay, 1 scoop of BCAA, I'll see my veins pop in. No, that's absolutely hoax. That's a marketing strategy. But what's actually happening internally is that it's coursing through your veins, and it's minutely it's actually pushing your veins so that more blood forces through. That's where that's how it's working. So when more blood forces through, there's more pump that's happening. Your heart is getting more blood, it's pumping more blood, your lung is functioning fully. So that's my concept of how it works. If you guys obviously you guys have studied for sports science, if you know the deeper stuff of deeper facts, please come out with it. Don't hide it. And I feel like BCAA, to a certain extent, it does work. It does work to a certain extent. If it all depends again on your diet. So if your diet is really really poor, and it doesn't have those essential carbon and hydrogen structures with BCAA generally binds to, then you'll never see a positive effect from BCAA, and you'd always be in one of those categories saying that, oh, let's take a whey protein shake. If you are properly supplementing your body with natural food, good amount of proteins, carbohydrates, balanced fats, you will definitely see the effects of BCAA. So that's my BCAA hoax.
I think the
Debunked.
biggest thing that's like how it's like been diminished is because most people thought it, the high leucine contents in it have stimulated protein synthesis, but it's obviously found to be more efficient taking either EAAs or protein shakes and stuff like that. But like I think it honestly, again, it depends. Recently I heard somewhere it can, just those specific amino acids can impact, your brain in a certain manner that, maybe all essential amino acids can't necessarily do, which, for example, it could be beneficial, for some people, but not others. So again, like the way how nootropics work and how it affects the brain. So it's similar in that nature. It kind of can take that avenue. So that's just something I've heard, recently. So I don't know, Conor, what are your thoughts on BCAAs in particular?
Yeah, different amino acids have different benefits. That's why, protein isn't one amino acid that's all encompassing the same. Like each one has different benefits. So mentioning some of the brain stuff, and BCAA, so particular leucine, can be like more of a driver in the protein synthetic response. And look, overall, I think this is a very fair statement to say. BCAAs are pretty much, they're very important for muscle growth, but you don't have to supplement them. You can get them through the diet. And I think that's usually hits the thresholds with your dietary things. Now, there are times where it doesn't. So this is maybe where we insert some of your more vegan friendly peeps, so often they can be some of the more limiting factor amino acids that they are missing out on. So if you're trying to, support muscle mass as a vegan, it can be very handy to implement. But overall, yeah, I think as in supplement format, again, everyone makes a value assessment, but if you're like a meat eater and you're having sufficient protein throughout the day, I'd save your dollars, to be honest. It's plenty of other things to spend money on in life.
Nick?
Cool.
No, like that again, like I totally agree. Like you can get pretty much most of it, through your food and things like that. But other than the point that I raised before, how they have, I've heard, they have had some, potential brain benefits on some people. Yeah, it might be true. Like just really depends on the individual. So that's just my response to it. Like I said, if your main goal is, to build muscle and you eat a wide variety of food, literally save your money. That's my view on it.
Do you guys have any supplement horror stories?
Oh,
Yep.
I've taken like 10 probiotics at one time. My gut didn't feel too good. Yeah, like I ate like so much food. I remember, and what happened? Like, I finished the diet, and then I pigged out the next day like massively. Just ice cream, souvlaki's, pizza, like just everything. And I started to feel really bloated. I'm like, fuck, okay. And then I was like, oh, like I'll just take 10 probiotics before bed. Like hopefully I just shit it out in the morning or some shit. I don't know. Just my thought process at that time. I swear to God, I was so sick the next day. I was like vomiting and everything. So I don't know. I even went to the city that day too, and I just started vomiting more. 2013.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was pretty horrendous. I'll let you guys share some stories, but if I think of more, I'll definitely come back into the combat.
Connor, don't look at me.
You got nothing? Well, I think the audience has now heard your D-bol story from the supplement store owner.
Yeah, fuck.
For myself, I think like all of us are probably gonna be quite similar. Yeah, spending way too much money on them is probably the biggest horror story, particularly while being new and just really putting your priorities in the wrong place, you know. So focusing too many of the micros before the macro, you know. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, I just remembered one. So it was what was it? It's baking soda. Anyone ever had is it baking soda or baking powder? I can't remember. Bicarb soda. I think that's the that's the one. Yeah, bicarb soda. So I was performing an event, and I heard the potential benefits of what bicarb soda could do to my body in order to, buffer. Someone's like, it will buffer your blood's pH. It won't know, like when, fatigue is going to kick in. Like you'll just be able to buffer that lactate. And I'm like, perfect. That's what I need. Like I'm just going to be accumulating a lot of, lactate through this. So let's take some bicarb. I remember Googling it and it said like something like 25 grams. I'm like, holy fuck. Okay. All right. So like I just got this water bottle and I put like, weighing it 20 grams. And I'm like, well, I don't even know what this shit will taste like. I thought, obviously something salty, but like I started drinking it. It was putrid. Like I couldn't down it. Like it was disgusting, but like I kept doing it. Like I had like a glass of normal water and then I had like bicarb soda in this hand. I was like, okay, like that looks really, wrong, but like, eventually I had to start mixing like cranberry juice in and with it because like I just couldn't stomach it. But here's the thing. So right before this event, like it gives you like diarrhea. You just sit on the toilet and you just can't stop shitting. Like your tummy just rumbles. Like I swear to God, I overdosed. But like, like you just, I don't know, it just completely empties out your system. And I remember reading further down, like on the whole bicarb soda protocol, like potential side effects, like diarrhea, stomach aches and shit like that. I'm like, fuck me, dude. Like, how did I not? Like, why did I not read that? Probably sort of started on a lower dose, because there are some, well-proven benefits, towards it. So it was pretty disgusting. Like, I think I was supposed to start this thing at like 10 o'clock. I didn't end up starting until like 11:30 because I was shitting myself on the toilet. Yeah, it was terrible. Have any of you guys ever done the bicarb?
No, I've never.
Oh, no, that sounds awful, man.
Yeah. Like, I don't recommend it.
When I was newer as well, I remember not knowing the difference between protein powder and mass gainer. And I think the whole...
Yes. That has been a hoax
like
for a long
as
time.
well.
Mass gainer was like a go-to thing when I started.
Conor,
Yeah.
No, your story of whey is actually the funniest thing in the world. Like, I don't even know if you remember this, but like you said, like the first time you ever went to a supplement shop, you said like, I'm looking for whey, right? And then like the person's like, yeah, the shot's full of it, and you're like, what do you mean? Like, I'm looking for the whey, like whey,
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be gold standard, like Optimum Nutrition.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
it's like
that's what you see in all the memes, right? So that is the protein, It's like so name one protein is whey, another protein is literally BSN or whatever it may be,
And you're like, you change your life. You're like I'm traumatized. I want whey. Like not this other shit. I just want whey.
Yeah, I remember genuinely thinking there'd be cool benefits because Optimum Nutrition at the time was huge. I don't know if you guys remember that back in the day. So, like, Muscle Tech was a big thing before that. No, I wasn't around really for then. But, yeah, Optimum Nutrition was, like, literally the gold standard. Like, that wasn't just marketing. If you ever see, like, a protein tub in a meme, it was gold standard Optimum Nutrition. I didn't know what's going on with them, by the way. I have no idea if they're still popular and whatever, but... Man,
think
holy
they are.
shit, yeah. Plus, just spending way too much money, I think, is the main one. I tell you what, I've never really ventured too much into pre-workouts and stuff as well. Yeah, I'm trying to think more, but honestly, spending way too much money is probably my main traumatic factor,
Have you ever
especially for
like
not
overdosed
necessary
on
things.
like a vitamin or anything?
Overdose on vitamin.
Like a
I
vitamin
don't think,
C tablet or something like
Ah,
that?
no, but I tell you what, it's interesting with vitamin C. If you have too much, it can be certain immune hurting properties of it. But they are freaking delicious. I know if you guys get the little orange capsules, they're freaking
yes,
awesome.
exactly.
I could
Cinnamons,
munch
yeah,
those as a
yeah, yeah,
snack, you know. It's
yeah.
like, oh, what do you have for dinner? I had like 48,
Vitamin C.
vitamin C tabs.
But it gets your like
But
the taste bud gets like disgusting after a while. You can't like have a
It does, to be fair,
lot of it.
but you can
my
eat more than you
girlfriend has
should.
Vitagummies, has like
Ah,
Vitagummies for like a kids version or whatever. Fuck me, like they're so good. It's just like I don't know,
that's
it's
the
like
worst.
gummy bears or
That's
something like that.
worse. That's worse. You'll snack on it. That's you, imagine someone turning up at your party with vitamin D and C gummies. I got gummies for everyone, and they pour it
Everyone
on.
just loses it.
Everyone is mad.
I
That-
wouldn't be surprised if people have done that for Halloween or some shit. Like thinking, oh, it's a vitamin. It's totally okay. Like they can eat it all, and people eat it all, and they end up with some particular issues. Like
There's a
Jesus
problem with
Christ.
it. That problem with it. Like medicines are shouldn't be made into gummies. I hate it. I absolutely hate it that way. I know it's for easy ingestion for kids and stuff like that. But adult vitamin gummies, why? And a lot of people can't eat medicine, and they say this stupid excuse: "I can't eat medicine." Okay, don't eat it. Just like make it into powder and mix it in your rice and eat it, or whatever you eat. Just make it into powder
You're
and mix
wild.
it. Right? They're like
I think
Vita gummies for adults. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Vita gummies
I
for
think
adults.
I think people need to be careful too with like some particular supplements because you can buy, for example, straight caffeine powder,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I've heard some terrible stories.
Oh, it
You
is
know, some
dangerous.
Yeah, we're pretty
like some
boring
people
between the
can
three
mix
of
it up.
us.
Some
Yeah, I've
people
heard a
can
lot of
mix it
nightmare
up.
stories.
Yeah,
Go on.
like you might one day mix up the fact that oh my god, this is a caffeine instead of. I mean, you probably thought it was like your whey protein instead of a caffeine powder, and next minute you scoop the whole damn thing, which obviously can be very deadly,
45
right?
grams.
So yeah, like this kind of shit, like you just don't fuck around with. Like if you're having
Mm-hmm.
caffeine, just get it from fucking coffee for God's sake. But like don't be one of those other people. I'll just say like yeah, like overdosing is it's not a joke, you know, especially in this whole thing.
It's life
Like
threatening.
it is very life threatening. So it's obviously be careful,
Mm-hmm.
read the directions, label use, you know, and obviously adjust how your body responds to
Mm-hmm.
you know particular things. But like I don't know, like you guys are pretty boring. I'm just gonna put that out there. Prantik, we know you're D-ball sorry, okay? Like we understand that shit
I'm going to
is
tag
pretty
the episode there, right there. This is the moment where I'm going to tag the
yeah.
episode. But
I'm glad
no,
you're
But
able to add the excitement with your diarrhea story. I think one
oh
time
my god.
I had a friend that was a supplement. He used to work in the store, right? And he was telling me that, you know, someone bought their protein, right? Someone pretty new to lifting. And they came back the next day and like this shit didn't work. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, how are you meant to know yet? They had the whole freaking tub.
Oh my
wow.
god. What the fuck?
So to go, no,
Oh
this
my
is how
god.
you do it and blah, blah, blah. But,
I
don't
remember
know,
it
it's
in
nothing.
when I was in year 11. I freaked out because a friend of mine he bought this pre-workout and then there was like one for men, one for women, and he accidentally bought the women one and he gave it to me and I was like looking at it, I'm like, I can't take that, man. He's like, "What? It's for girls. Like girls should only be taking this." He goes, "You'll be fine." I'm like nah, like what if it like I don't know, like changes like my internal organs or some shit, like I'll grow a vagina or something like that. Like I was like, so here's like my mental horror story thinking I cannot take this female pre-workout because I'm gonna turn into a woman after this. Like shit. Like and then I don't know, I ended up taking it, but I was like shit scared the entire time thinking my whole life's fucked up now. Like I've got a uterus, like I don't know,
I got a uterus.
I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I've had a lot of mental battles, like with particular supplements in that sense, you know, getting like terrified of shit. But
What do you mean?
like just like what I was saying, like it's like I look at something and it says for woman, I'm like, I can't be taking that.
Vagina.
But this is, but again, this is me in year 11, so it's like a real mental battle. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not taking that.
Estrogen.
Yeah. I'm sure there's other good stories out there.
I mean, we've all had our shares of horror stories. I had been, as I told you, I had been cheated with supplements being mixed with flour, whey protein.
Really?
And then
Yeah,
I put it in my milk and then spin it up, and then the next moment I see lumps. And I'm like, okay, no problem. It's just moisture. And I drink it down, and I straight ran to the toilet. I'm straight in there sitting for like half an hour, like letting the devil out. So
I got a real funny story. So my brother, in his office at work, he used to leave his protein tub in there, right? And but he'd already like finished his protein powder in there, and he just put his multidextrin in there, right? And so he's saying that some of the trainers were coming in, taking his thinking protein powder, thinking it was protein, and like he said, us like half my tub was like missing. I haven't used it, right? And people are probably taking it and thinking it's protein, but it's actually multidextrin.
isn't it just straight carbs?
Yeah. It's just straight carbs. It's pretty funny.
Wow.
I would say it's a horror story, but it's just like it's dumb shit. Like it's pretty funny.
So that was a very intense discussion about supplementation. I think we have hit all the major points that we needed to hit. Anything else?
There's one I think we need to talk about.
Yep. What is it?
When taking supplements consistently for a long period of time, do we need to cycle off them? Like, and I'll pick three main ones that we've mainly discussed. Like, do you need to cycle off whey protein? Do you need to cycle off taking creatine? Do you need to cycle off caffeine? Or do you need to cycle off taking vitamins and minerals? Those are pretty much some of the four main supplements we talk about today. Do we need to cycle off them? Yes or no? And why?
Simple answer. So I have never I've never cycled whey protein because I think that it's a very basic kind of protein that is necessary for the body. It's a very simple protein that is necessary for the body, and it doesn't need to be cycled out or in, depending on what type of whey you're taking. Especially if you are someone who's competitive, who's going into competition, regardless of it also depends actually on what type of competition you're looking for. If it's a bodybuilding competition, then you're probably going for the form and the shape and the look of the physique. So you're probably inclining into a more far away from the prep. You're taking more concentrate whey, and as you move towards the prep, you're switching to more of whey protein isolate, which is much more carb deficited whey where the protein goes up. So stuff like that, and I think for any other sport which doesn't demand the physical outlook of the body, you can just do any sort of whey. It can be whey protein concentrate, hydrolyzed, isolate, any type. So it won't matter. As far as creatine goes, it has the basic power of creatine. Creatine is a very simple protein. People make mistakes and categorize it into a very complex thing. Creatine is what it basically boosts is creatinine formation in the body, which is also responsible for further ATP formation and production, and it also triggers your pituitary in your head that actually triggers the formation of ATP. So there's a lot of hoax about creatine, like forming a layer in your stomach and stuff. That's all false. Creatine is a very simple powder. It just goes in, immediately gets diffused in your in the water in your stomach and in the stomach acid, and doesn't really sit there. It's just stupid to think that creatine will sit there. Our stomach acid is
what about if you load?
Yeah. I mean, creatine also holds a lot of H2O molecules in your body, so it holds water in your body that makes you that makes you bloated, or it might make you like really big pumped up. So the only thing that is to be kept in mind is when you're taking creatine, be sure you're drinking a lot of water so that the creatine can actually work. Creatine works through a flush system. It flushes in your body, and that's how it binds to creatinine molecules and promotes the growth of creatine. But other than that, a lot of it's very common in bodybuilding world that creatine is cycled, because as you get close to comp date, if you're taking creatine, you look more bloated, but you don't want that. You're trying to cut out water and stuff. That's when you really actually cycle creatine. You get it.
Well, I have a question about that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I have heard of that where people get closer to a competition and they cycle off creatine. Like, teach me if I'm completely wrong in this, but my thought process behind that is, why are we trying to manipulate, something when we've been consistently taking that supplement for a long period of time? Say,
Mm-hmm.
like if you're 2 weeks out of a show and you're not taking creatine, then you all of a sudden take creatine, obviously that's going to have some impacts.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've been taking creatine for a very long period of time,
Mm-hmm.
and
Why
then
would
all
you?
of a sudden you take it out,
Mm-hmm.
right? What, like,
What difference would it make?
yeah, well, like, why, what's the purpose behind that?
Mm.
And like, is it really worth it? Like I said, like, is it worth making such a change like that for a difference that could make or break?
Mm-hmm. So you generally, it also depends. That's a very nice question. It also depends on the type of body that you have, and what type of time you take to get your body to that level where the water is totally lost from under your skin. Not totally lost, like the majority of the water that is visible is lost, and then the body holds on to the required amount of water. Uh, but the thing is, you see, creatine has going back to the fact that I have tried it and tested it on my own, and I feel like I need at least 4 weeks to get rid of uh, that water holding capacity. Obviously, every chemical supplement that we take comes with a half life. So creatine also has a natural half life, and I feel like this half life depend. It might be consistent with the chemical, but it also depends on your body's capacity to lose that amount of water. How quickly can you get dehydrated is also something that uh, judges the factor, or judges the power with which creatine works. So I feel it. Your answer, the basic answer to your question would be yes, it does work, and it is. Um, so, for example, my show's on December, and I'm having creatine since January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, and end of October is when I decrease my dosage. So I'll probably have 10 grams of creatine a day, and I slightly bring it down to 5 grams and then to 0 grams. What that would do is, the basic calculation is every gram of creatine is achieved from 5 chicken. 5 whole chicken gives you 1 gram of creatine. That was a calculation I saw in one of the creatine boxes, so that's where I pick it up from. The decrease, it's actually, it's not going to do anything even if you don't stop it. If you just go on with it, it's not going to make much changes. But I feel like it's easier to lose that extra bit of water, get that extra edge over stuff just by reducing or cutting off creatine, because at the same time you're also cutting off sodium, very close to the show. So when you cut off sodium, then I feel that it's definitely some sort of imbalance that happens. I've seen actually bodybuilders like faint or get dizzy just before shows because they have been cutting salt too hard. That's what we call cutting salt. So it's actually a sodium cut, and they've been cutting sodium too hard, and the potassium level have gone up too much, and that's when they cramp in their probably they're cramping on their calves and stuff like that. But I've experienced creatine, stoppage of creatine, and things on my own, and you definitely feel that you lose a little bit of. Let's put it in layman's term. Let's put you're filling in a t-shirt, and you're on creatine, and then if you stop taking creatine, you will feel a little bit less fuller when you're off creatine. So that's what my creatine judgment is.
What about caffeine?
Caffeine, yeah, it hits different people differently. So like you are a very, very big person on caffeine. I know you and your coffee and stuff. So you get very affected or easily affected by caffeine. So the moment you take a coffee, it's an instant hit with you, right? And probably it doesn't work in the same way with me. Probably if I take a coffee, I don't feel any different than um, probably taking a sip of a BCAA. Like yes, I would feel on the long run, I would feel that I'm probably um working a little bit longer, but I can also sleep with having a cup of coffee at night. Yeah, we knew a person who used to have 8 cups of coffee and still sleep at night.
Okay, that's good. What about a multivitamin
Uh,
or any
separately,
vitamin?
no, I wouldn't say there's a need of cycling it. Caffeine, as you see, it can be a go-to drink in the morning. Same thing with the multivitamin. It can be a go-to health supplement in the morning. Uh, I mean, it's nothing big because even if you go to a dietitian would recommend you a good multivitamin as well. So it just supplements you with the extra vitamin. And the biggest hoax is it's not going to do anything until unless you're not taking 100 tabs of it every day. If you take 1 tabs of it, whatever is not necessary will be ejected through your feces. So everything that is not necessary is actually waste, and it will be excreted out. So you don't have to worry about that.
Nick, your thoughts on the four?
Okay, so yeah, just starting with whey. No, like unless money is a real struggle and adding that extra expense to your monthly bill is really getting to you, it's fine. Like let's just say this: if you are choosing to buy a whey shake over your daily supplies of food, then you got to get your priorities a little bit straighter. So during situations like that, that's probably the only time I would say cycle off protein shakes for now. Get some, other nutritional foods in. That's for that. In regards to creatine, so look, I'll be honest, like for the general population out there, not just the bodybuilding community, I think it's very important. If most people stick to 5 grams literally per day, yeah, there is a whole loading protocol that just basically if you're not on creatine and you want to speed up the process, you take about like 25, I think, or 25, 30 grams per day for like 5 days. Or like I said, if you just take 5 grams per day after a month, you basically get those same benefits anyway. So if there is going to be a time you're going to cycle off taking creatine, it would be finish the tub, buy your next one, and once that next one comes, boom, there's your cycle ended. Go back on it, 5 grams a day. Like that's the only thing I would ever say. Otherwise, if you can just continuously take it, there is no harm. Now, like it sometimes can come in handy for those weight division sports, like you said. Like for example, some people need to put on, weight for a particular sport, so that loading protocol might come in handy at that certain point. But again, that's not really cycling off. That's just kind of using it to its capabilities. But I'd like to hear Connor's thoughts after I finish on creatine and cycling off it towards into bodybuilding competitions. Caffeine, look, again, like it really depends. I think, Connor, again, you can probably go into this a bit further, but I think if you are more, sympathetic dominant than you are parasympathetic, you're struggling to get to sleep at night. Let's just say, your energy levels throughout the day are kind of up and down. There's a lot of crash going on. And you are one of those people that solely rely on caffeine to kind of get you through. Again, if it is affecting your sleep, I think it's important to maybe, cycle off of it if you can, for a little bit. And kind of like reestablish like a baseline of like those effects, because eventually after a while, like if you consume it, eventually after a while you're going to get to points where it may not have the effects that you initially started taking caffeine, for example, you can do. So cycling off it just to enhance those performance benefits can come in handy. But, like if you're one of those people that just likes to have a couple cups of coffee a day, it doesn't really impact your sleep. It doesn't really, impact a lot of things like in general. Again, there's a lot, like I've seen in a latest review that, they're classifying coffee as like a new vegetable kind of thing. Pretty funny. But trying to whose review? I don't know. Could be wrong, but I felt like it was like a Schoenfeld review research paper. But like I don't know. It was could be wrong on that one. I don't quote me on that. But like again, like if you're just looking at it from that perspective, like again, it just depends what you're after. If you're after those performance benefits and you're not really getting it, then cycle off it. But if you function quite well on them and it doesn't impact your sleep, then again, I think it's completely safe to continue on. Vitamins and minerals, like again, like it depends. So Connor spoke before about when you're trying to like get a response out of something. So let's say vitamin D levels are extremely low, and it's not one of those things that you got to take today or 3 days from now and 5 days after that. It's something that you got to really start taking every single day until you kind of restore everything to baseline. So it's one of those things where, okay, if we do get it to baseline, all right, maybe the dosages we can kind of taper them back a little bit. So, you can get into situations like that, or it could be the time of the year kind of thing. So Melbourne, we don't get much sunlight, our lifestyles don't really expose ourselves outside and, unless we're tradies or something like that, but don't really expose us to be outside quite often. So maybe during the winter periods, now's a good time to really cycle, on it, to kind of prepare us, for everything, going forwards after that. But that's just a sweet example, again, of that. So it just, again, that really depends on the person. Sometimes it may not just necessarily mean cycling off of it completely. It could just mean backing down, the dosages of what, we are currently taking, because generally we up the dosages when we're really trying to drive, a particular, thing. But then once we've gotten what we wanted from it, pull it back a bit. So, yeah.
Very good explanation. Conor.
So do we need to cycle off all of them as a big thing? Again, just like most things say, nothing's of too crazy importance. Of all those things, you won't die if you don't cycle off any of them. Just big picture, because I know people can be generally concerned about a lot of health consequences, and -1 is probably very minimal. So I think, do we need to? Probably not. But is there benefits to emphasizing certain things at certain times? Yeah, there definitely is. And that's, why we can look at supplements, say not too important, but we don't want to be too reductionist at the same time, because it can amplify things. So an example for whey protein, if you are in more of a off season, so you're trying to get a lot of food down, you might find, okay, it's really hard to get another meal of like, whatever ounces of chicken. It's easy to just have a shake. So, you might, let's say you're hypothetically having 5 meals a day, you might find it easier to get in 2-3 whey protein things, just as an adherence factor to get your calories in. Versus at the same time, if you're in a deficit, you might find, okay, I want something that's more satiating as a protein source than, just whey protein. There's obviously ways you can fiddle around with it. That's a potential way if you can play around with things. As for cycling off it, the other thing I'd look to is digestion. And that applies to like a lot of proteins. If you're really banging away, like I was mentioning before, that's probably the other thing I'd look at. How's your digestion going? If that's okay, then you can sort it out. And then for better utility, you can look at the deficit surplus as one of many examples of where there's benefit. Creatine, again, you won't die. So why some people do a load is if you're deficient, you need more to get to full status. But then principles of maintenance are always less, just about everything than progression. So getting up there. So you can usually maintain on less. I wouldn't really be too concerned about a lot of things there. Again, like Nick mentioned before, there are brain benefits there.
What about towards the show, end of the show?
So I think the one thing I agree with Prantik was digestion. If you do receive some bloating, then it's probably not worth it. But one of the more interesting things about creatine is overall, it seems to make you retain water more intracellularly
Mm-hmm.
versus extra. I'm not going to say the cell word because that's just too complicated. So basically what that means is you get more quote unquote fullness. So like people, when they talk about water retention, there can be more fullness inside the muscle or between the muscle and skin. And when it's more between the muscle and skin, that is more of the quote unquote watery effect. You have blurred lines, you don't have good separation. That's not ideal. But the good news is overall, it does bias, pretty strongly towards intracellular. So that's the good news. So you're probably going to get net more fullness than you will more spilled over water retention kind of look to your physique overall. You did mention certain utilities for weight divisions and stuff like that. That's something you can do. It's just one of many tools, of course, but yeah, for sure. Why not? A lot of these performance sports as well, I guess, maybe you want the performance benefits of it. Hard to know.
Yeah. I
Probably
think
not too valuable for a long distance runner.
Yeah. I like your point on the like on the whole intracellular water kind of thing because Prantik, how many times have you seen people on stage end up looking flat?
Mm-hmm. A lot.
And I think a lot of the time it may not necessarily be creatine itself, but
Can be
it's just
imbalance of anything else,
a complete manipulation and change of so many different things that have just kind of led to that. So which is the main thing. That's why I always say if you've been consistently doing something, and again monitor how you look.
Mm-hmm.
That's the importance of having not just having your own eyes, but a coach and everything like that. That's actually being able to assess your body and kind of things, and looking at it from that scale. If there is more water carried, obviously in between the skin and the muscle, then again you can make correct choices from there. But if you're starting to say, well, actually, no, I feel full, I'm still getting pumps, even though maybe carbohydrates at this particular point in my training is, kind of going a bit lower. I'm not, and, things like that. Like if you are responding, well and looking for those like little key things, like again, recovery, pumps throughout your workouts, just feeling good in general, sleeping good, all those things. Again, the major thing, looking the part, boom. I don't see why they need to change it. But anyways, Conor, keep going. Next point, caffeine.
So you got something called negative feedback loops. So the more you do something, the less return on investment you'll get. That's just something that will apply for caffeine overall. So again, so you usually try and tailor certain kinds of stimulus towards other ones. So caffeine can be good for more excitement. It can be mood elevating, which is a pretty cool side effect. It can even help with glycogen synthesis, which is pretty cool. But again, if the main limiting factor of your training was how much you can wind down and recover afterwards, then it wouldn't have as much benefits. As well as there'd be other times of the year when, you want to see more feedback from your caffeine. Like if you're like getting ready for competition, a powerlifting meet, if you've been banging away for years and years and it does nothing, well, maybe that's okay, whatever. It's a variable that's not changed. But I think at the same time, you could have had that 2 to 3% jump that you wouldn't have if you, played your game properly. So, I think on the Nick thing, so I think that's some of the values of. So for like a lot of things, definitely it's very key to keep a lot of variables stable. So you can, if A and B are stable and C is change and there's been a change, you can put it down to C. So I think that ties to your creatine pre-show. If you're looking good, you can keep going. And I think overall as an approach, that should be the main way to go. But negative feedback loops, and if you know for just certain there'll be a positive impact, it's kind of like steroids, right? It's like, I don't want to implement steroids. I don't know if I'll look better. It's like, there's a good chance you can put on more muscle mass kind of thing. But again, with supplements, we're not really dealing with anything that strong, to be fair. So, micronutrients, health-wise, again, there's probably not too many downsides. Again, just don't overdose and stuff like that. It'll probably be good. Different micro and minerals, so nutrients and minerals and freaking phytonutrients, a bunch of other different things, botanicals. Again, there's just times where it'd be better suited towards certain things, but overall, you can just keep things pretty steady. There might be times where it's, again, more demanding. You'd be going through certain pathways more that need cofactors and this and that. So that's definitely a true point that Nick mentioned before. But overall, I wouldn't be too stressed about it. Again, you just look at your life and you look at, more importantly, where you're deficient in. and then supplements fill the deficiency. If there was an overall big thing to like look at this whole supplements thing is really the value of just filling deficiencies and where appropriate, helping the other thing. But in a weird way, that's like a deficiency that wasn't managed. So if we can improve training, we fill in that deficiency of what it could be. But overall, yeah, I mean, look, if all your freaking nutrients are on fleek, this is rare, but you're eating perfectly, you're managing to get all your nutrients through food and range of sources and all the rest. You might not even need a multivitamin, you know? I mean, if everything's full, then it's full. You just no real point going over the top. So ideally you have blood work. If not, you got an idea of, okay, what are certain side effects? There's a lot of people won't do blood work, let's be honest. What are certain side effects you'd have of being deficient in a bunch of different things? And you see if you line up and let's say 2 of them are mood regulation. It was like, okay, with the other side effects, I'm pretty sure it's not this one, but I have all the other side effects of this one. Boom, you're now coming more towards a solution. If it's more of a, scientifically valid thing you look into with, your sources and whatnot. But yeah, again, just match your deficiency. It can almost be that simple, supplements, I think. Any thoughts there, guys?
Well put.
Well put, match your deficiency. That's basically summed up the entire thing, really, if you think about it.
Yeah. What are you doing the whole other hour and a half? Just match your deficiency, go home, have a beer.
Go match it, yeah. All you need to know is to match your fucking deficiency. End of podcast. Skip the last hour and a half, please.
There you go.
We'll do a timestamp for that.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
That's good.
Covered a vast volume of stuff and cleared up a lot of confusion and stuff for people. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. I think maybe we can send a little message to the viewers as well. I think I mentioned it, but I'm almost so desperate to say it one more time because I can't help but think of that young Conor or these young kids. If you're newer to training, if, deficiencies are a huge thing, they're manifesting in a huge way, blah, 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 don't overplace importance on all the other stuff and really say, okay, my dreams, my future is going to be one at the supplement store. Like, I think just so many careers have been lost there, especially while you're new as well, because when you new, you get the best gains and stuff like that. So it's probably the most important time to get things right because you're the biggest response. And I think I'm probably speaking with my own deficiencies, with speaking about that stuff. But yeah, for goodness sake, just get the other stuff really down and use it to help that.
Use food as your biggest ally. Food is the best thing you have ever got. And don't have to rely on organic and stuff, but I would still suggest go as much as dependent on food than anything else. Nick, your ending message.
To be honest, I love you guys. I love you all. And, I hope there are a lot of key things to take away today. And I think, we've covered, not just about supplements in general, just about, again, all other things that can, I guess priorities in that sense, essentially how you prioritize your life, how you prioritize your health, and when you kind of go down to things even more narrow, like this, again, if your life is getting, sabotage because you're trying to focus on little things like supplements. So, for example, your money in your bank, couldn't stress it enough, just spending way too much money on the next best thing, the next best supplement, just to, for whatever reason, it's really not, those type of things aren't worth it. Just prioritize what is needed. Okay. For your life, for your body, and basically, go from there. Yeah, for your pocket. Goddamn. And again, whatever you can stick and stay consistent with is obviously, important too. So that's my main point. Appreciate you guys all listening. It's good that we had so much different stories to go along with this. I think that's been the real cool thing about today's one in general. But I know we kind of kept it quite brief in the sense of what supplements. We probably talked about the main supplements, All right. Of course, we can go further, deeper down into,
Thank you for watching the Forge podcast. If you enjoyed it, we'd love for you to subscribe. If you want to find out more about us, check the description. And as always, thank you for listening.